A small message from me before we kick off with today's video. iDriveACLASSIC is proud to be sponsored and insured by Adrian Flux. If you haven't heard of Adrian Flux before, they're the UK's leading specialist motor insurance broker, covering everything from classic and vintage cars right through to heavily modified sports cars. So whether you're in a Morris Marina, a 90s retro runabout, or something with a bit more oomph under the bonnet, give them a call for your next policy. I've popped a link to their site in the description box below. Hi guys, it's Steph from iDriveACLASSIC, and today I'm back. Well, actually, I'm sitting in this queue of traffic because I'm off to Festival of the Unexceptional 2021. We had celebrities on site, big wave there from Ian and Carly from Hubnut. We had some thoroughly unexceptional cars, including this fantastic Rover, and we also had some rather splendid costumes, including this home knitted jumper by somebody's mum and this original British Leyland tie. Now in today's video I'm going to be showing you a selection of various bits and pieces on show, but as you'll see, this is potentially one of the biggest shows, well, of the year. I'm going to kick this video off with a quick walk around the Concourse section. As you can see, it's incredibly busy, which made it really hard to look at the cars. So I'm going to show you more very briefly, and then I'm going to pick out my three favourites to show you that I think definitely should have won the Concourse. So let's go. Now I know when I said Concourse, no one was really expecting a Bluebird, a Talbot and a Twingo to be sitting in the opening lineup. But this is the thing about Festival of the Unexceptional. If you've not been before, let me explain what the event is all about. So Festival of the Unexceptional is celebrating cars of yesteryear and of today really, that people don't really see anymore or that have been forgotten. So things like a Renault Espace. If you were thinking to yourself, what kind of car would go down really well here? You'd be better off in a Kia Pride than an E-Type Jag, put it that way. So, as you can see, there's about 50 cars in the Concourse section. There was a selection of different judges. I know that Paul Cowland was on the judging, Sam Skelton, Tanya Field. There were various people from different parts of the unexceptional automotive world that were all brought together to judge and pick the best car. So first of all, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour around, and I'm going to be quiet while you have a look around these fantastic cars, and then I'm going to show you my three favourites, and then I'm going to show you the winner. Now if you recognise the winner, it's because, spoiler, we have done a video on it before on iDriveACLASSIC. So let's kick off. So there we have it, a walk around a very, very busy concourse section. So there's 50 cars in here, a wild Richard Dredge there interviewing for Classic Retro and Modern magazine. If you haven't already bought a copy of that, you really should. But what were my favourites? So let me show you in no particular order.
Hello, my name's Lee and this is my Fiat Superstrada. I've had the car since about 2006 and I bought it blind off eBay for £160 and luckily it was in really good condition, but I have had it restored over the last few years and the paintwork was actually done a few years ago, but it is still keeping up really well. I've always had a love of Stradas. Even before I drove a car, even before I passed my test, I had a Fiat Strada. And I just really like them, you know, and they're a bit different. Let's face it, you're not going to see many of them about, are you? So it's it drives really well. It's only done 43,000 miles. Had about 3 or 4 owners before me, but yeah, I just take it to local car shows, and this is the furthest it's been probably in about 10 years. Yeah.
Great to meet you today, Steph. Lovely to meet you for the first time. This is my 93 Twingo, very early model. It's on a K plate in the UK from the first month of production, actually, in France. And I was really lucky because my first car was a French Twingo as well. And some years later now, thought this is the time to get another one. So looked online, found this one, the exact one I wanted, in coriander green, a very early model, and with the only option you can get on a Twingo, which is the fabric sunroof. You could also have air conditioning if you wanted. But one owner from new before me, Muriel, sadly she passed away last year, so her grandchildren were selling the car, and did the deal really, and here it is today. Very happy to have it, and she's not for sale.
Hi, I'm Simon Hucknall. I'm from Leicestershire, and this is my Fiat 128 1300 CL. So it's a 1977 car. I've known the car all my life. My dad bought it new when I was 12 years old, and so the car has been in the family ever since. It's only done 4,900 miles. It's completely original. So what you see here is the original paintwork, the original trim, and it drives just like a new car. So my dad had Fiat 128s from 1970. First car he had rotted away by the time it was about 7 years old, and foolishly he went and bought another one, but this time he preserved it a little bit better and only used it for high days and holidays. So hence is only done under 5,000 miles even now. Dad died in 1999, so I inherited the car, and it lay dormant for many years, dry stored in the garage, and only last year did I recommission it. Time was right, and so it drives just like new now. It is perfect, but it's original down to, for example, if you look in the ashtray, it still has my dad's cigar ash, and all the original dealer stickers on the car. We've got the original invoices, tax discs, everything. So I preserved that originality. And the only things that I've changed are brake lines, brake system, fuel lines. Wheels have been reconditioned, and the tyres obviously new as well, but they use original equipment, Pirelli Cinceratos. So I've preserved it in its original state as much as I possibly can.
And if you're wondering who came first, it was John Coupland with his Black Knight Proton, the one that you will have seen in an IDRIVEACLASSIC video last year. Now here's the thing, for me, Festival of the Unexceptional isn't what's in the concourse, it's actually what's in the car park. Now for me to have shown you this full walk in full, it would have taken over 8 minutes, because that's how many cars are here. There are thousands and thousands of fantastic cars you've never seen in real life, cars that you haven't seen in a long time, and exceptional examples of them as well. I know it's meant to be unexceptional, but actually this for me is one of the best car shows of the year, because you get to see everybody that you know, you get to see thousands of cars that you've never seen before or that you haven't seen in a very long time, and it's Wonderful. But how do you pick which cars to put in a video? Well, what I decided to do was to give you a quick whistle through the car park to show you just how many cars were here and to give you thousands of reasons to visit next year. And then I thought I'd pick out my 5 favourites of the entire car park to show you, including my absolute favourite, which comes with an owner's story. So let me kick off and show you my 5 favourites of the Festival Unexceptional 2021 car park. In a world before bloated SUVs, families opted for MPVs like the Renault Espace. Now, you may not see them so much anymore of this generation, but the early Espace was once a popular choice, even though in the first month of production, they only actually sold 9 of them. Although this is an early car we're looking at, it is the facelift model which came about in 1988. The earlier ones sort of have a flatter, larger grille to them and different front lights. I chose this as one of my picks because to a non-car enthusiast, it's simply an older Espace, but it represents so much more than that. It was a vehicle which was designed to be everything to everyone. It was a people carrier, a taxi, a courier, a vehicle which was unique in design and could hold up to 7 people. It was so versatile, in fact, that every seat other than the driver's seat can be removed. So the Espace really is whatever you want it to be. And that's not all, because it's also got the swivel seats, which if you've ever seen an early Kia Sedona, they're copied pretty much exactly the same. And then the seats recline as well. So in the back, you can get a king-size bed. And to me, that makes it more unexceptional than some of the unexceptional cars here today. Next of my picks is the Skoda Estelle 120L. So I took a shine to this little low mileage Skoda Estelle 120L, and although people love to be really bitter about early Skodas, when the 120L came to market, a magazine said the rack and pinion steering was almost as light and quick as a Lotus Elan. I mean, I doubt they had a relatively similar customer base, but it was a really cheap car and it only cost £2,700 in 1982, which actually made it much cheaper than many of the budget Brit options. And it made a new car affordable for many more people that previously would have only been looking at a bit of a rubbish used example. It gets around 30 to 40 mpg, which sounds pretty impressive for the time, until you find out that I get mid-30s on an average day in the Triumph or the Marina. It perhaps wasn't the most reliable new car of the time, but it was cheap and cheerful, and it came out top in What Car magazine's choices based on value, and it was even sold with a 24-month unlimited mileage warranty. Well, perhaps then it's not so unexceptional after all. So let's see what else we've got on the field today. Next up in my car park picks is this Dayatsu Move. Now, it's a funny one because I've never seen one before and I didn't even know it existed. Now, I would have picked this as my favourite car of the show had it not been for the story behind my favourite car park pick, but more of that later. So the Move was marketed with the strapline, "Don't worry, it's the car they're staring at, not you." And it was said to be weird on the outside and clever on the inside. Now, despite its size, it not only seats 4 people, but the seats fold down to create a double bed. Who needs a Premier Inn when you've got a Daihatsu Move? It's narrower than the Mini for sale at the time, so for reference that would have been the old Rover Mini, and it's an 847cc engine on this, although it does have, weirdly, a 5-speed gearbox, although you would have got as well a 3-speed auto option on these. Airbags were standard, and some of the standard features listed on the car are hilarious. They include shopping bag handles on the back seats as standard and a soft grip steering wheel. It's probably my favourite of the 90s Kai cars, and to be honest, I think the owner got a bargain. He paid less than £1,000 for this. It's low mileage, surprisingly roomy inside, and a jolly little car. Now, if you're wondering if it can do the mileage, the owner did over 10,000 miles in the first year of ownership. So it seems like it really does deliver on everything that it says it does. It's pretty unexceptional at first glance, but offers more and more, and the more you get digging. Hopefully we're going to get this on the channel pretty soon. And finally, before we get to my last and favourite pick of the car park, this lovely Alfa Sud. Manufactured from 71 through to 89, it's a front engine 4-door car. It was introduced to capitalise on the trend emerging at the back end of the 60s for cheaper cars, and they managed to swing production into life by coming to a deal with the Italian government for a loan. And the Italian government said, you can have the money, but the factory has to be built in Naples. Which, if you don't know too much, that doesn't sound like a problem. But guess what? This was nowhere near any of the existing car manufacturing plants. And it meant that 15,000 unskilled workers who had no experience were suddenly thrown into making a car, which was the Alfa Sud. The car was designed to be cheap to make, easy to maintain, but with some Alfa magic in the mix. Now, usually I wouldn't call this an unexceptional car in any sense of the word, but I've thrown it in because it's been forever since I've seen one of these in the flesh. In fact, I think the last time I saw one was when I was in Italy, and it's one of my favourite cars here today. This particular one has the 1.3 litre engine in it, although you could have gone for 1.2, 1.4 or 1.5, and they did both 4 and 5 speed manual transmission types. Now these are my choices, so let's get on to my favourite car of the car park, and I'm actually going to let the owner tell you a bit about it, which will tell you why I picked the car. So let's go.
Hello everyone, my name is daradavid, and this is my family's 1983 Toyota, as well. It's a Tercel, but it's known as a Sprinter Caribe from Japan. So my dad initially bought this car in Japan, shipped it over to Sri Lanka in the late 80s, and we've owned it ever since then. So I went to school in this for my first day of school, even got pictures to prove it. Lots of family memories driving around Sri Lanka. And then we left it in Sri Lanka when we moved over to the UK, and it's been through a lot. So it went through a period where people stole bits off it, and it was also in our house when the tsunami hit in 2004. So it's been through a heck of a lot, and ever since I was a little kid I was obsessed with it. So I would always tell my dad, please don't sell the car, please let's keep it. And eventually I saved up enough pennies to ship it over here. And with the help of one of my good friends, Paul, we got it all fixed up and got all the running gear sorted out, got all the trim pieces sourced from Japan, from America, from Europe, and got it all up and running again. So yeah, that's a bit of a summary. And yeah, got into a state now where I'm a little bit proud of it now. So yeah.
And that brings us nicely to the end of the first draw of the Unexceptional 2021. I hope you've enjoyed the show, looking at some of the cars, and remember to get your tickets booked for next year, because this is definitely one of the best shows of the year, and I would recommend that you don't miss out. So until next time, take care and drive safely.